Um, if we're talking about Magnus's involvement in culpability, uh, it's clear that I think it always was, but also from hearing him speak about it, clear that he came from a place of genuine suspicion, which maybe people have a problem with, but honestly, you can't really control if you're suspicious. You can control if you act on it. Um, and he did act on it, obviously, which was, I think, from his point of view, I mean, it caused him more trouble than he probably wanted. So it was probably not a good decision. My impression was that he felt egged on. You know, they said we we know he cheated. He did cheat, and we think he cheated this amount. And maybe they gave him um, a impression that they had more certainty and more evidence than they actually had in terms of the extent of it and so on. And that ended up being important, right? What you can prove is important.
For the lawsuit, yeah.
Yeah. If you can't prove it, then it's kind of irrelevant, your opinion, at least when it comes to legal proceeding. Your feeling about if someone cheated becomes a bit less relevant. So
yeah, and go ahead.
I had sympathy for Magnus's position. You know, also because I understand where he comes from. I mean, I understand the suspicion without having. You can't really have proof, right? If I mean, you just have a feeling. I think in this case, his feeling was not correct. It doesn't feel correct. It didn't feel correct that Hans was cheating in that game or in that tournament. But let's say you have a feeling, you can't control it, and then you try to find out if your feeling is correct, and then you get a confirmation that it feels to you like it's a confirmation that your feeling is correct. It's very hard not to run with it at that point. So I had sympathy for his position.
Yeah, no, it was an interestingly made documentary. I felt again that perhaps they would have covered a bit more angles, but it felt like it was heavily focused on one angle and one angle only, and that was the whole cheating story, the anal beads and whatnot. It felt like they could perhaps add a few more characters. Like they only had Magnus, Hikaru, who was kind of like a third eye observer of some sort, and
Yeah, I'm
then
not sure
Hans.
why they included Hikaru more or less only as a narrator, because it doesn't
Kind
feel like
of, right.
Hikaru
Like
ever gave.
he seemed like the normal one in the whole documentary.
Well, the thing is, like Hikaru, I mean, certainly he has his views. It would have been interesting to hear his views um, as someone who was involved in it. I mean, he was part of the
Yeah.
lawsuit.
Yeah.
Obviously, not as involved as the other parties, but still, he was involved in it. But he more or less was just a neutral narrator. He just kind of every once in a while would give a bit of helpful news about the situation. Which, yeah, it didn't feel like he had to be used for that role. But okay, that's their choice. The whole thing with the beads, I always found ridiculous, and I still remember being asked like randomly in grocery stores. It was some kind of psychosis, mass psychosis.
Mass psychosis, yes.
People read about it in the news, and then when they found out that I'm a chess player, the first thing they would ask me was about this. And I got asked in a supermarket by someone I didn't know, an old guy. I don't even remember how the conversation started, but just suddenly he's asking me about beats. And it did kind of irk me when Eric said that I think his exact quote was beats have been good for our company. Beats have been good for us. Which it's just, I understand it's just a philosophy. It's like the growth at any cost.
Yeah.
And it's a very American
Any
thing.
publicity is good.
Yeah,
good publicity.
it's a super American thing. Which I understand the philosophy. It's just so contrary to how I feel about things. So that quote, just the general excitement about anything that can kind of grow the company and the valuation or bring more members without any regard for how people are exposed to chess. Or if it looks good, if it's how you want to represent the game, especially when you're already rich and have a very valuable company. But okay, that's probably a philosophy difference that. So I guess agree to disagree.
Yeah, and